Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me this episode, I have the host of Top 100 Global Podcast, Next Level University, with over 880 episodes and listeners in over 120 countries. Kevin Palmieri, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Dave, thank you so very much for having us. I appreciate it, and I'm excited. Our little preamble was great. I'm sure the conversation will be great as well, so I'm excited to see where we go.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it'll go somewhere, fantastic for our listeners and audience. So, obviously, I've seen your backstory. You did have a little bit of a difficult time and some adversity yourself, and it was within yourself, really, which obviously it would be great to share that to help other people who might be stuck in their lives in the same way. But you actually had a success story before that, which everybody has that dream thing. Obviously, I was in a dream job as a firefighter, and I didn't have a sports car. Well, it was a sportish car, but it was, just a sports range of a Ford car, that kind of thing. But, tell us your humble beginnings and how it all went good for you. Then it went bad for you. And then, of course, led you into wanting to share it with other people now. Tell us your humble beginnings first and your journey.
Yeah, it's interesting, Dave, because when I was younger, I was raised by my mom and my grandmother. I didn't meet my dad until I was 27. That's when I first met my father to the capability of understanding he was my father. I saw him when I was younger, but never to the point where we built a relationship. So for me, the adversity and the resilience and the identity of that started when I was very young. All of my friends went off to college after high school, and I decided that wasn't for me. And I was working at a gas station. I worked at a hospital cleaning floors. I was a truck driver. I was a forklift operator. I was many, many, many different things. But I actually did the fire academy. I did the fire academy in my town. I did that, and I was on call for a very short time. But I got this opportunity to go to this 2-week-long trade school. And at the end of this 2 weeks, you get matched up with a company. And we were doing what's called weatherization. So we go into houses and make them more energy efficient. Think of that. We do weather stripping and caulking around the doors and attics and stuff like that. So we get to the end of this class, and the person who brought me in said, "Hey, I have a very good opportunity for you. We're going to connect you with the best company here. The only problem is there's travel involved." Right. And I said, "I'm not interested in traveling." She said, "Well, just hear me out. You're going to be making anywhere from $50 to $100 an hour." And I said, "First of all, that's not real. This is not real. This cannot be real." Right. And she said, "Just call them, see what they say, and take it from there." And I was like, "All right, fine." So I call them up. I get an interview. My interview is going to the office and just meeting with my potential boss for 10, 15, 20 minutes. He says, "Kev, you're a real good fit. This is going to be awesome. I'm actually going to let you jump the line. We have some other people waiting, but I know your personality will fit with the team." I said, "Okay." He said, "I'll call you when we're ready to start the first job." I said, "All right, cool." I get a call one day after I left the movies, and it's my potential boss. And he said, "All right, we're going to be going down to Delaware." I lived in Massachusetts. So that's like an 8-hour drive on the East Coast of the United States. Yeah. And he said, "Are you good to go?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So I met my boss at the office for the second time. I had never met this man other than that one time before. I got into a car with him. We drove 8 hours down from Massachusetts to Delaware. I moved into a house with 7 other people I had never met, doing a job I had never done before. And that was the very beginning of this wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me. Fast forward a few years, and you mentioned this, Dave, I had all outside success. I had a sports car. I quite literally had the body of my dreams because I had just done a fitness competition. My girlfriend was a model. I had a high-paying job, new apartment, all of the things that everybody thinks they want. But my girlfriend at the time said, "Hey, Kev, I really want to move across the country and I want to chase my dreams." And I said, no. I said, "Here's a list of 500 reasons you shouldn't do it. Just fixed mindset, scarce, fearful, afraid of being left behind. And my girlfriend actually ended up leaving me a few months later. And we had just moved in together. We had a nice apartment together. And when she left, Dave, that was a real proverbial look in the mirror for me, because I realized I didn't like who I was.
Right. So what happened? I mean, in terms of your feelings, was you devastated that she left you, or was you kind of lonely in that place? It was a different feel to the place. It was a mixed bag of everything.
Yeah, I remember when she left. I remember I was listening to a song, and she said, "I'm gonna go tonight, and I'll come back and get my stuff." And I just remember feeling trapped. I mean, we just got an apartment together 2 months ago. 2 months before, and I'm gonna have to pay for this. I'm gonna have to pay for the bills. I'm gonna have to pay for everything.
The financial side came up as well.
Yeah, because work was slow. Work had slowed down. It was this perfect storm of just junk happening all at the same time. And when she left, that was my initial rock bottom. And I stayed together, and I kept doing the right stuff, and I started personal development. I started learning. I started growing, and I would say positive affirmations every night before I went to bed.
Right. Yeah.
I'm talented, I'm worthy, I'm handsome, and this year I'm going to make the most money I've ever made in my entire life. And that's the one I really leaned into. And I ended up getting a promotion. I was a foreman for the company I was working for. But being a foreman meant that you were on the job for the entirety of it. So you're on the job from the day you start until the day it is completed and you send out your final punch list. And fast forward to the end of that year, and I had been on the road for 10 months out of the 12. Every single day, every single week, just living in hotels. And it was a grind, but it was worth it because I was making good money. And I remember, Dave, I opened my last pay stub of the year. I was standing at my kitchen table because my girlfriend, they were her chairs and they took them. And I never got new chairs because I was never home, so it didn't matter. Yeah. And I made $100,000 at 26 with no college degree. And that was supposed to be something that helped me so much, but it was another one of those times of I've put so much emphasis on external results to make me internally happy.
Tell me exactly the audience, exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah.
External results.
I thought that having a large bank account, having a sports car would fill the voids in myself that I never fixed as a young man because I never...
Materialistic things.
Yeah. I never understood the importance of doing the inner work, the self-work, the meditation, the inner child healing. I never understood that you can't just pour a bunch of money onto a problem, especially an internal problem, to fix it. Yeah. And that was a very difficult thing for me to understand. So after that, almost overnight, I stopped caring about my job. I stopped caring about the money that it brought me. I started a podcast a little while later called the Hyperconscious Podcast. The opposite of unconscious is hyperconscious. And
I see.
For most of my life, Dave, I was living unconsciously. And when I started that podcast, something inside of me shifted, and I realized that I could have an impact on the world doing something I loved. But it's really hard to run a podcast while you're traveling every single day and there's no Wi-Fi, right? It's very challenging. It's very challenging. So I had a kind of a point where it was like, I don't want to do this job anymore. I was calling out. I was leaving early. I was just not giving 100% effort. I just lost my love for the job. And I knew I wanted to podcast, but I knew something had to change. And it got to the point, Dave, where I literally would have to be on the job site at 7 a.m. The job site would be 6 hours from where I lived. And I would sleep in my bed for 3 hours, get up, and then drive straight to the job site and work. Not good. Not good, not healthy, not fulfilling. Yeah. But I'll never forget, it was a crusty hotel room in New Jersey, and my alarm clock went off at like 5:15 in the morning, as it did every day when I was working. And I woke up and I slid to the edge of the bed, and I was lacing up my work boots. And the best way to explain it is there was 10 televisions on in my head at the same time, and every single one was on a different station. And one was saying, you're stuck here forever. You can't leave this job. You're never going to make $100 an hour again. You got lucky to get this job. What will your friends think? What will your family think? And the loudest one for me, Dave, was, do you really think you can be a successful podcaster? And I didn't. Oh, yeah. Truthfully, I didn't think that was a possibility. For me as well. Understandable.
No, I mean, never mind.
So in that moment, I genuinely felt like if I took my life, I would take my problems with me. And that is the big shift for me, where everything really, really shifted. I mean, when you're at that point, there's really no other option. But I messaged my friend who is now my business partner. And I said, hey, I'm really going through it here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. I'm having these dark thoughts. What's going on? And he said, well, Kev, so much has changed for you over the last few years, but your environment hasn't changed that much. I think it's time that we change your environment. And then I left that job 3 or 4 months later. I went full time into being an entrepreneur and speaking.
Let's kind of like just talk about that change, because leaving a job is a big thing for someone, isn't it, really? I mean, for me, it would have been a big thing while I was a firefighter. And there was times where I contemplated as well. And it's a mental health issues as well that can, it's a stressful job. So I know where you was at. Well, I was at a certain place as well. So that's a huge thing to leave the job. I mean, tell us what was going on when you was going through the process of having to do that, because maybe you didn't want to do that. It's like, should I, shouldn't I? It's a big decision, isn't it?
It was unreasonably challenging because you're getting rid of it's this weird thing of you're certain that there's going to be money coming in, but you're also certain that you're miserable doing it. And it's like, is the uncertainty worth risking all of that?
Yeah, that's it. It's a risk.
It was such a challenge.
Because the thing is, it's not so much making a lot of money. It's just the fact that, things could go worse for you because you can't support yourself. Do you see what I mean? I mean, because of the life that you've got. It's not like,
I positioned myself, Dave, because I kind of knew it was coming. So I ended up, and this is great for anybody who wants to become an entrepreneur. I lowered my bills as low as humanly possible. I moved in with one of my best friends who was also an entrepreneur. So, I went from paying $1,500 a month in rent to $500 a month. My car was paid off.
Yeah.
So that's a part of it. But I'll never forget when I had the final conversation with my company and it was like, this is done. We're not going to do this anymore. It was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. And then 2 minutes later, it was like, oh my God, what have I done? And it was that balance. But this is the important part that I always want to leave when I tell my story is, yes, that's where most people's stories end. I left my job and I went all into my dreams. The next 3 years were the hardest 3 years of my entire life. Because
and a lot of entrepreneurs go through that hard period, don't they, really, when they first start out. So that's important for anyone that's aspiring entrepreneurs or anything going through change like that.
Yeah, you're starting something completely new.
Yeah.
You're starting something completely new.
Tell us about that as well.
Oh, man. I'll say this. At the beginning, I thought it was going to be way easier than it was. I thought I'd be able to do a couple things a day, make a couple calls, and everything would be fine. So at the very beginning, I don't think I was taking it as seriously as I needed to because I didn't have any understanding. But, we went from doing 1 episode a week to 2 episodes a week. And then Alan, my business partner, and I had a conversation about like, all right, we got to start making money here. What are we doing? We're going to be broke forever if we don't start building this business. So we both started coaching for free. We just started doing mindset and peak performance coaching for free. And that ended up going to $50 a week and $75 a week and $100 a week. And that ended up happening and continuing.
How did you, was that quite easy for you as well to launch a coaching business?
No.
I mean, like any business, it takes time to grow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was probably at least 2 years into the podcast journey, at least 2 years. And I remember there were certain people who I knew were watching and listening to us because they would share our content. And I messaged one of them. Her name was Jenna. And I said, Jenna, I'm looking to start a free grouping, a coaching program. Are you interested in it? And she said, yeah, I'm interested in doing it. And I said, all right, cool. It's totally free. We'll talk every week on Zoom for an hour. Let's do it. And that's how it started. It started with Alan on the same. But I think that's how all businesses start. They start small and unscalable where you're just kind of trying to get proof of concept and figure out what's what.
Yeah. So that grew then, obviously.
Yeah.
And then the podcast grew as well. So because obviously that's the main success that I see straight away. Obviously, when I saw your stuff before, having you as a guest here, it resonated with me because I'm a podcaster, obviously. So it's like, wow, how did that? That's amazing.
It's challenging because, and this is the other thing too, Dave. It's my job now, so that I always like to say, like, part of the reason we've had the growth that we have is because there's been 2 high-performing peak performers working on it every day for the last 4.5, 5 years, 3 years really consistently, but it's just every day. It's every
like the
day.
Production and the promotion and everything else, Every
day, how do we get a little bit better? How do I get a little bit better after this interview and make sure next time I show up, I tell my story a little bit better, or I don't speak over Dave as much next time. Like, it's always that constant, how do I do a little bit better? Because at the end of the day, your capability and your competence as a human being is directly correlated to the results that you get and sustain. And that's our main focus is I want to be better behind the scenes than I am in front. I don't want to market my way to success. I want to just become a capable, competent, consistent human being. And, you know, we can go into it. There's a ton of different ways when it comes to the podcast, but I just think it's consistency first in every single thing you do, and then improve consistency as you go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can talk about the podcast, how you did that, and then also your coaching, because obviously what you worked on yourself, you're obviously helping other people with as well, and I think that's important as well. So let's talk about how you built the podcast, and obviously it's transferable to any business, because it's a business at the end of the day. You know, the way you run it, obviously, you know, if it's full time and it's your job. So talk about that, and then we can talk about your coaching afterwards.
Of course. The through line of our business and what we've always said, and again, this is the podcast, but it does, like Dave said, it goes to any business. We say scale the unscalable. So this is an example. Alan and I did a virtual speech last week or 2 weeks ago, and I think there was like 15 people live, but it got replayed to 100 people or whatever it was. And I went through today, and I sent a video message to everybody who commented, just saying, hey, Dave, thank you so very much for attending. I appreciate it. Here's the PDF of everything we talked about. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And that when I say scale the unscalable, it means do things that are not scalable, because those things are usually the most valuable and the most rare. So we have built our business through one-on-one real conversations with real human beings. And that is the through line of our business. Somebody asked me one time, how do you intend on competing with the Amazons and the Apples of the world? And I said, we're not. That's not, it's different. It's different. Yeah. We are real humans who can connect with real people. That is the through line. So if you have,
but we might be competing with Mark Cuban or something like that.
Yeah. But if you can build, this is the thing, if you can build the system that's not scalable and get a little bit better at doing it, if you got a video from Mark Cuban, you would never look at Mark Cuban the same. But Mark Cuban's not sending custom videos to people because it's never been part of his business model. So as we get quote unquote more successful and wealthier and whatever, have a bigger impact, every video I send actually gets more valuable to the person I send it to and more valuable to us as well. So if you're out there, you have to really, really focus on one person a day. I think that is the key. And I think so many people are taught to skip that part. They're taught, start a podcast or start a business, throw up this post that everything's going to happen. People are just going to come out of the woodwork. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way. I know people who have hundreds of thousands of followers, and the percentage of people that give them money every month is like very, very low, but nobody ever talks about that. So I really think it's our major through line is building one-on-one relationships, real relationships of real value with real human beings, and then just being uber consistent, posting on social every day.
You're talking about one-on-one with the guests or with the audience or
audience?
The audience, right? Okay. So how do you do that when you've got tens and thousands of audience listening?
You build a list. You build a list of people that, I mean, we have lists on lists on lists of this person messaged me once, this person commented, this person asked a question in Facebook.
It's kind of like a radio show where you get callings and you kind of because once you're talking to them, it feels like the whole world's listening to you, doesn't it? When I listen to a calling on a radio, because I don't do that, but I should do, I guess. I'm on another app that I got headhunted for called Wisdom, where you could do that actually. But anyway, when I listen to the radio with guest callings and speaking, it feels like I'm there as well in the conversation sometimes. You really get stuck in, really. So
I think
building that relationship that way.
Of course, it's so important, because I think people listen to podcasts for knowledge, but most people listen to podcasts because they want to be part of a community, or they want to be part of something greater or a mission. And if you can help them become part of the mission, that's a complete and total game changer. We have a 16-person global team, and probably 85 to 90% of our team were podcast listeners. They listened to our show at one point. They became clients, and we were coaching them, and it was like, hey, I think you'd really fit well on this team. You're part of the community. You've already experienced what it's like to come into this community. Let's help you bring other people into the community. And I just think that a lot of people want things to run by themselves. They want it to be passive. It's very, very difficult to have a business that's passive. It doesn't work. It doesn't start that way ever.
No, you've got to really do some hard work, or get it boosted, or obviously spend money on the marketing on people to outsource.
I think
build a team, kind of
100%, 100%. The marketing aspect is great, but I think a lot of people, I know people that I have been friends with who had, 100 times the downloads we did, 100 times the podcast downloads. Like, we're talking millions and millions, but they weren't making any money because they didn't understand business. They didn't understand sales. They didn't understand. So it's one of those things of, oftentimes the people who create the best don't capture on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have the systems. So I think that's an important part too. It's like, a lot of people start a business because they want to have an impact, but they don't start a business because they've been studying business. And I think that's like, I know it sounds like a fundamental, but if you're a business owner, how many business books have you really read? How many books on finances and client acquisition and margins and money? How much on marketing, on conversations? I think that at the end of the day, if you really want to get good at something, you have to study that more than you've studied anything else. And relationships is a great example. That's why most relationships don't succeed, because most humans aren't studying relationships. And it makes sense. You don't get the results you don't study for.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, well, that's the podcast aspect out of the way. So you obviously introduced some coaching with it, which is obviously what I do as well, actually. But some people just see me just as a coach. But like yourself, no, you didn't. Sorry, you came from the workplace situation. I came from a sporting background, so coaches was around me since I was young, really. Although it's a little bit different now when you talk about mindset and things like that, to the time when I was doing it. It's almost like giving you instructions then, it's more like an instructor rather than a coach back in the days, But yeah, so you're doing coaching now with it. How did that happen first, and what do you do with the coaching side of it?
So, like I said in the beginning, it was us doing it for free just to make sure it was something that, our clientele, our listeners wanted. But we realized very quickly that a lot of people in our position, they say like, okay, I only take on high-end clients, or I only do 6-month or 1-year packages. Yeah. Our brand is next level. And that means in every regard. So we realized very quickly that not everybody can afford $150 to $300 an hour to pay somebody for coaching. So what is a good alternative to that? Oh, we do free virtual trainings every month. We do a live podcast every single week in our Facebook group. We have group coaching that's cheaper than one-on-one coaching. We do live events.
That's huge, actually.
It's very big because, again, the community aspect of it, you're bringing people together, and these people can be friends forever. So our real thought process is, no matter where you are in your life, there is a next level. No matter where you are in our business, there is a next level for you. And maybe it's free listening to the podcast. Maybe it's paying for one-on-one coaching, that sort of thing. But we also, so we do mindset coaching, we do peak performance business coaching. But we also have a bunch of different departments. Our business right now has 25 departments, which is a lot, and there's a lot going on. But we have like a social media team. We have next level web solutions where we build websites. We have next level podcast solutions where we do podcast production. So
is that for other people?
Yep.
Yeah, as a business, a business that you're offering people.
Yep. We realize what are the major pain points for us. What were the biggest problems that really held us back? Well, I had to learn how to audio edit and video edit. Okay, well, what if we had a team who did that? All right, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
It took us, it took me 30 days working 8-hour days every single day to build our first website, and it was garbage. It wasn't good. What if we had somebody who could build websites? Okay, we have that now. So for us, it's really what would have helped us get to the next level quicker, and how do we help other people with that? That's the basis of everything that we do. Every part of our business that monetizes is based on what is the value we would have paid for.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, you set some goals, but you need to get to the next level before you get to the ultimate goal you want to reach. Because if you try to get to that ultimate goal, you might get disappointed. It's like, it's a big goal. You can get there, but let's get to the next level first. That kind of thing.
Yep.
You know?
100%.
That makes sense for anything 100%. You do in life, really.
Yeah. We want what's right for you. I don't want you to pay me. I don't want you to pay me as a one-on-one coach if you're not ready for that yet. It's not serving me and it's not serving you. Like, exactly. Come to the podcast, come to the free virtual, whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously the podcast alone is, I mean, unless you're doing subscription-based ones where people have to pay the money, but alone is giving value, isn't it? Really?
Of course.
I mean, you're giving value to my audience. Giving
I appreciate
tips
that
now.
Yeah, that's the goal. I believe that whoever adds the most value, whoever adds the most authentic value wins eventually. We do 7 episodes a week, not because I want to do 7 necessarily. I just want to add as much value as humanly possible. And there's only 7 days in a week. If there was 9, I'm sure we'd probably do 9. But now there's 7. And if you can improve by 1%, or not even 1%, if you can just improve by learning something new every day, your life is going to look drastically different. And it's just that consistency of just a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Nothing changes that much overnight, but it does over the course of a year, 5, 10, 20.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, that sounds, I mean, I've kind of not done it in the same way as you, but I'm doing coaching and, my downloads are getting really good. And obviously in a position where I could do it full time, I'm earning probably enough from the coaching and my firefighter's pension, because I'm retired from the fire service, to really, lead a comfortable life, So obviously it sounds, with the way I'm talking to you, that you really have really sort of got it nailed in the way that, you've got a kind of success path that you could actually use as a blueprint for other people to use as well. So,
yeah, that's the goal. How did we do it? Help other people do it the way we did.
Yeah. So tell the audience what the old podcast is, when they can hear it. If it's 7 days a week, and also where they can find you.
Yes, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Just search Next Level University, and then we're also on YouTube as well. All of our episodes are up on YouTube, and then our website, nextleveluniverse.com. And if you want to reach out to me, just at NeverQuitKid on Instagram is the best place. I get back to all my DMs, so that is the best place if you want to chat.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Well, Kevin, it's been fantastic talking to you. I mean, you're so lively even before I even got to press record, which is always a good thing, because you want people to be, captivated into the show and, just from the conversation alone. But, some great tools and tips you're giving the audience today. So I really thank you for coming in on the show and giving that today.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity. It was a genuine pleasure to get to chat with you.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts, or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.